Hi, good night. It seems the video is a little delaying, but I guess now I am live. I'm online, I guess. Yeah. So, welcome to another of our live streams here in the Alien Meditation channel. Um, well, it has been really running my life because we are making a lot of changes in our school. So this is a live stream of about our Starseeds Fellowship subject. There was a kind of an attachment, a second part of the course that we already have, that is the Alien Codes. So it was a kind of, you take the Alien Codes course, and if you like it, if you want to study further, then as a second option you can have the Starseeds Fellowship. But then we figure out that it makes more sense to actually integrate this. Here's my little dog that is wants to appear in the cameras also. So the second part of the course, it makes more sense to be part actually of the Alien Codes. So what we did was actually merging both courses. So now we have them all in just one course. So the lives that are exclusive about the subjects of the Alien Fellowship now no longer will be like this as we known before. It will be a kind of, we will still having live streams, but a little more. Sorry, my dog is eating a lot of things here. It will be a little more, how can I say, different. We will have more subjects about another kind of things, another kind of courses that we already have, like the Reiki, like the shamanism. We will focus a lot in shamanism as well. And we will still talking about our course of the alien codes, the DNA activation, the starseed, but it will be more variations of content. So we have a bigger content option for us. So that the live streams that are actually right now about the Starseeds Fellowship will be a little different. We are making a lot of changes actually in our school of the Alien Meditation. I don't appear tired because I have been passing a lot of makeup with the red lipstick and everything. But yeah, I'm very tired because we are working hard with all the changes we are doing. But hopefully for the best, for a better learning experience for our students. So this is really nice. Um, then I want to talk about the second part of our live stream, our subject, that is the Egyptian temples. In a previous live stream, we were talking about the Komombo temple that was representing the chakra, the first one that is the root. And we were talking also about the Isis temple that represents the sacral chakra, the chakra of the second one, the navel chakra. So it's important to get in a kind of in order, like starting from the first one, from the very first one of the Egyptian temples. And now in this live stream we will talk from the third temple and so on until the seventh temple, that is the pyramids. So right now we will talk about the Komombo temple, that is the temple number 3 in the scale of chakras. And I was bringing a little writing here so I can point out the main aspects of what I will talk. So I will just look a little at my book sometimes. But just for talking about the Komombo temple, actually, this temple in Egypt is the only one that is double. So it's a temple that is double because it's meant for two different gods. And the first one is the god Sobek, and it's a god that is known as a kind of evil because it seems, I mean, in the whole cosmovision of the of Egypt, where it says that the traveling of the soul when the person is dead, when the person dies, is that the soul start pacing through a traveling through a journey where the soul will start having tests, will be testing their its aspect, if it's natural, if it's was too earthly or it was more spiritual, or things like this. So in the end, when the person is dead and the person needs to go through a judgment, and it's a kind of actually similar of what we have now in the Christianity, that is the God Jehovah will judge you according to what you have been doing, if you have been a good person or not. So the very first conception about this judgment of the soul comes from the Egyptians. They carry out, they bring this first view of a kind of judgment. And it says that in the end, in that judgment, the soul will be in a balance, in a measurement balance, and it will be put at the soul and then a feeder of the goddess Mat, that is a goddess that has wings. And the soul and the wings, the soul and the wing of Maat needs to be the same. It can be, the soul cannot be stronger than the wing, than the feather, because if it's stronger, that means the soul has been too much attached to earthly things, not much spiritual, so that means it's a heavy soul, has a heavy vibration, and then deserves to be a kind of destroyed according to our vision. And then it comes the god Sobek, that is the one that actually engulfs it, that soul. So in that vision, god Sobek is known as a kind of evil, but actually what the god Sobek brings us as knowledge in our lives is that it's important to have a kind of transmutation in our lives, and a kind of experience of the of dying, because it's through dying and through that experience that we have many changes in our lives and we transmute many aspects in our lives. So it's a kind of this depuration of our own energy and our spirituality. So that for that reason, it's considered the god Sobek in the first hall of the temple of Komombo, and the second hall of the temple of Komombo is considered to the god Haroeris, that is the same god Horus, that is the son of Isis, the goddess Isis, with the god Osiris. He represents the quality of the light. He represents the sun. And the thing is that in the mythology, it has happened a kind of conflicts between the father of Horus, that is Osiris, conflicts with his brother, and then Horus needed to fight against his uncle, that is the brother of Osiris. Horus needed to fight against the evil part, against the shadows. So in that way, Horus was losing an eye from his uncle, and then that form of the god Horus, just with one eye, is known as Haroeris. that is known as the god Horus, as a mature form, as a more experienced person that has been fighting against the shadows. And it makes sense when you put together the god Sobek with the god Horus, with the god Harueris, because it's like the shadow that you need to transmute, that is Sobek, and then that is actually transmuted, that is Harueris. And that's why this temple has two halls in the beginning. When you see the hall of the god Sobek and the hall of the god Harueris, both in the entrance, in the gate of the temple. I don't know if it's very known for you, if there is a technique known as dowsing. And the technique of dowsing is actually, it can be used with many tools, but one of the most common is when you use a pendulum. You use a common pendulum, and then you start measuring different kind of energies and vibrations. And there is dozer very famous that comes from France, and he was visiting many times Egypt. And he's a dozer that is very famous. He has been testing in a lot of temples, and he developed a unit measurement that is called Bobby's unit. That regarding his name, his name is Bobby's. So we have the unit A Bobby's, U Bobby's, that is Bobby's unit, and that word means is a kind of measurement, as you have the centimeters, the meters, the liters, so is UB, Bobby's unit, through the that is known for the dosing people, the people that practice dosing, and it means it has a scale from 0 to 10,000. So the 0 means when a person or a being measures from 0 to 6,000, is like the person is sick. Like 6,000 is the person is sick, but 2,000, 1,100, 0 means the person is dead. And like from 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, it started to be the person is really, really healthy. So you have this scale to measure the healthy of the person. So what Bovis realized that is that in the hall of the temple, the Komombo temple, the hall of the god Sobek, it measures 1,000 UB, 1,000 Bovis units. That means if you consider it for a person, it means the person is almost dying. It means it is the vibration of the sickness and the dying and the death. And the hall of Harueris measures 10,000 UB, Bobby's unit. That means it's very healthy. The person is really, really healthy. So then you see the duality of that temple, that in order to you to conquer your inner being, first you need to pass through that transmutation that is the god Sobek who brings it. Then you can conquer your Harueris god that is inside you. So this is important. This is regarding the temple that is related to the chakra of the solar plexus, the stomach. So this is the temple that relates to that chakra. The next temple is related to the heart chakra, and in the course we are explaining that the heart chakra is actually double. It's a double system, because we have actually the chakra that is related to the thymus gland, but we also have a second chakra that is lower, and it relates also to that system of the heart. So we have the middle chakra, middle heart chakra, and we have the upper heart chakra. So it's both. For that point of energy, we have the temple of Luxor and Karnak. And in the temple of Luxor relates to the middle chakra, and the temple of Karnak relates to the upper chakra. The temple of Luxor is related to the trinity of the Egypt, to three different gods, and it's a kind of the royal family that has needed to visit once a year this temple to keep containing the divinity in them. So, for example, in the temple of Luxor, we actually have two obelisks, or we had actually two obelisks, and one is representing the person as a transcendent being, like in that process of initiation, like getting self-knowledge, getting to study, getting to meditate, getting to awake. And the second obelisk represents that initiate person, actually how develop the work, the inner work, and how this person has actually transcended him or herself. So it's a little curious to know, but the second obelisk of the Temple of Luxor has been removed and has been moved to the Vatican, and it's just that obelisk that represents this transcendental human being. So it's a kind of weird actually, but it's important to understand this empowering point that we have to do with the initiation in Egyptian temples. So this is that point of the heart chakra that means and represents the temple of Luxor and Karnak. Then we have the throat chakra, and the throat chakra is represented through the Dendera temple. And the Dendera temple is for the goddess Hathor, that is the goddess of. It's a kind of Aphrodite. It's a kind of Freya or Aphrodite, and in Egypt is the goddess Hathor. So that temple represents the divinity, like the truth of the being, because it represents like your own truth, your own what you believe in life. Starting because there we have the representation of the 12 stargates that are the 12 zodiac signs, and we have the representations there. So it's in that temple where we can get into connection with that 12 stargates to understand our proposal, our mission in life, and our origin from the stars. So it's in that temple that we get that inner connection with the universe and with the stargates. And it's important because represents actually the human being when it's actually a transcended person that is living his or her own truth. And it's hard to do that because you can see in many we have this we'll wait for the moto to cross. We have this kind of personality that we don't want to show our truth, like we want to hide our own opinion sometimes because we fear what others can say about our own opinions, or we just want to hide or want to be similar than the most of the people, even if we somehow feel that it's not make sense. So it represents actually the truth of the person, the person living his own life, his own proposals, his own opinions without fear about what others will say or not. This inner, this self-esteem and this self, and it's like the esteem when you trust in yourself. So this is important, the connection with that point. The other one, the next one that is related, I don't know if my connection has been dropping. Yeah, I don't know. There. The next point, that is the chakra. Dropping again. It seems a little weak. Okay, so the next point, that is the third eye chakra, is related to the great sphinx. And the great sphinx is actually a being that is actually testing the initiate person. So when you start with this spiritual journey, you get a kind of having a kind of test, and that great sphinx is actually the last test of your journey as an initiated person before you get into the uh, real and truthful connection with the universe, that is through the pyramids. But that great sphinx is actually the one who is guarding the whole universe, and that is allowing or not allowing certain connections depending on the development of the initiated person. So there is a myth that says that the sphinx we know in the tales, because it's a kind of evil being that make you a kind of hard questions and you need to answer, and if you don't answer well, then the sphinx engulfs you. And it's not that it's like this, but the truth is that the sphinx test your knowledge, it make the testing of what you have been learning during your whole journey as an initiate. And if you have your knowledge, if you have getting that, then you can go to the next step. But if you don't, then it's your own shadow that engulfs you, or engulfs the initiate in that case. So this point is important with the great sphinx because of that. Is the great guard of the knowledge of the universe. And the Atlantis and the the Atlantis, the Lemurians, they were actually protecting their own knowledge, their own information about the mysteries of the universe under the Great Sphinx. So before it was a kind of, it wasn't only the Sphinx, but it had the kind of chamber that they were actually keeping that information, that knowledge, as a kind of library. And the Sphinx, the mission of the Sphinx was to guard this knowledge. So that's why this point is important to develop and to go to the next leap, that is the pyramids. So with the pyramids, we actually have our last temple in Egypt. It's a kind of temple, yes or and not, because the pyramids is like similar as the Osirion. Is the pyramids and the Osirion are the only two temples that are not actually in the same design or structure as the other temples. We don't have hieroglyphs, we don't have this kind of structure. So we clearly see that these two buildings has a little, they are actually a little escaping from their time, and that makes the pyramids special because of that. So it's a kind of, it's a building that many people say it was actually the grave of the king, but others say that it was a kind of antenna to bring electricity, and others say that it was a kind of observatory, like a kind of satellite to get in communication with the universe, with another aliens, and so on. But this is actually the end and the culmination of the initiate journey. and it's the last part because the initiated actually stayed there in a sarcophagus to experience that lake of duality, and that how can we say that the emptiness, the energy of the emptiness, the vacuum, until you get to that point of connection. So the pyramids, they are actually very strong in connection inside, because they are aligned with four different constellations, and that constellations are very strong, very power in frequency. That is the constellations of Orion, the Sirius. Also we have the Draco and the Great Bear. So that constellations, that they are very strong in frequency. So we really need to be really prepared for that connection. If we don't have so, then the best is to connect with the pyramid from outside. It's also possible, and it's less strong. So I just wanted to show, actually, I don't know if I can switch here. Sorry? Yeah, the connection is bad. I'm so sorry for that. I apologize. We'll wait until it gets back. Yeah, it's frozen in my phone also. But the light, it seems okay. The light of the modem seems okay. No? You have internet? Yeah, I don't know. What is it? Please check the resolution. Maybe you need to switch resolution. It seems it's back. It's back now. Okay, I'm so sorry for this technical problem. Sometimes our internet's weak. But one last thing I just wanted to show is a PowerPoint that I was preparing about the temples, just to resume. Just to resume here. I don't know if you are seeing my screen. Can you see my screen? Just want to make sure. It seems like. Okay, I'm sorry once again for the technical problems, but it's part of the game. So now I just want to show this PowerPoint as just as a resume of what we have seen before. So it's the second part of our subject about the Egyptian temples, and this is the Komombo temple that I was talking before. That represents the solar plexus chakra, and as you can see, there is the two halls. That one is the temple of Sobek, the other is Harare, and is the only one in Egypt that is double, that represents two different gods. So and it's actually very. I personally like too much the structure of the temple seems really beautiful. I don't know. It's one of the ones that I think I consider as especially beautiful. So the next one is the heart system actually, and this one is the Karnak temple. The Karnak temple that represents the upper chakra, and the Luxor temple that represents the middle chakra. So both temples are connected, and as you can see here, you can see a road with a kind of guards like a sphinx. You see, it's a kind of road. The sphinx guarding the way between both temples, because they represents like the importance of guarding this energy and transcend this energy from something more earthly to something more transcended. So that's why there is this road with sphinx. And here you can say that you can see the Luxor temple that represents the middle chakra. And as I was telling you before, we have the two obelisks. The other was meant to be here, but as I was mentioning, our Vatican's friends were removing them, and I don't know the reason why, but it's a kind of weird. Anyway. The next one is the throat chakra, and is represented by the Dendra temple. So you can see in these columns we see the head of the goddess Hathor, that is actually the wife of the god Horus. And inside the temple you also have the Dendra zodiac, the 12 star gates, and here is the point where we can make the connection with our own being and our true purpose in this life. So this point is really crucial and important for the initiate. Then we have the Sphinx the Great Sphinx, that represents the third chakra, and as you can see behind is the pyramid. So the Sphinx is actually guarding the next step of the evolution of the initiate, that is the last stage. So it's important to pass through the Sphinx and actually pass the test of the knowledge that prove that we got enough knowledge through our journey to actually be part of the next level. And the next level then is the Giza pyramids. Then we have the three Giza pyramids here, and they represent that connection, the alignment with the universe, especially with these four constellations that I was mentioning before. The constellations that I was showing you before that are aligned inside the pyramid, that is the constellation of Orion. Also we have the constellation of Sirius, and the Draco, and the Great Bear, the Great Bear, I'm sorry, the Great Bear. So that connections are really strong, and this polarity is very powerful, because Draco, Orion, all these constellations, they have a great frequency, a big frequency. And when we do not have our own polarity well integrated, then connected with the great cosmic polarity can lead us into situations of much conflict. So we must connect to the pyramid from the outside. This is what is recommended. And here is a map, just to make it last. The map of the complete temples that we were mentioning. So here we have the first chakra, and as you can see, the Nile River is different than the rest of the rivers, even from the sacred rivers in India. You clearly see that it's a different and special river, because it starts from the south and is flooding and is moving through the north. and it ends in the north. And most of the rivers, they start in the north and then they end up in the south. This one is different. So it's another representation of our Kundalini energy that begins from the very beginning, that is the root chakra, until the crown chakra, that is the highest point. So it's a growing energy. And you see the very beginning, the very first temple, that is the Abu Simbel temple here. Then you have the Isis temple, you have Komombo here, then you have Karnak and Luxor, you have Dendera in the next, in the middle. Then you get up and you see the Great Sphinx next to the pyramids, and this is how the chakras of Egypt are structured and are represented through the temples. So you see, it's very beautiful, this map, and it makes totally sense when you see from this representation, from this map. So this is basically what I wanted to show you. Remembering the next time we will have a little different live streams, because now we are merging. I think I don't have connection again. Sometimes it drops, but I will keep talking because I think it's a kind of little moments that it drops. So as I was saying, now we are merging the starseeds with the alien codes for a better learning experience for our students. So the next live streams will be kind of more different subjects like Reiki, shamanism. We will talk a lot about shamanism because we are preparing private groups for shamanism and for the alien codes as well. So I don't know if you have any questions. I know we are a few people now, but if you have some questions, just let me know. So yeah, it doesn't seem have questions. So anyway, we always put the links of our social medias in the videos, the website. That is, now we are starting our own school platform. We are making all these changes for having a better learning experience for our students, so I can be more present in my students' life. If they have some queries, if they need some support, I can be more present to help. And also the certificates and everything are included. Is different than the students that comes from Udemy, the platform, because many of them, they request certificates. They don't like to match the generic certificate of Udemy. But the certificate service is not included for students outside from the platform. But if you take the courses inside, then you have my support, you have free certificates, emission, and you have a lot of benefits. So I hope you can give a look to the website. We're also working hard to create our websites in Portuguese and Spanish, so it's a lot of work to do. But I'm happy with all the things we are doing, that is for the best experience for all of us. So thank you so much for your presence here, and I see you in the next live stream. Thank you.